So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University of Alberta. Thank you all for joining us this year for this year's Dean's Welcome. We know that many of you have traveled great distances to be here today, so we thank you. My name is Daniel Downie, and together with my classmate Alyssa Kim, we'll be your MCs for the day today. First and foremost, we'd like to congratulate all of you for getting accepted into the University of Alberta's Law School. This is a tremendous achievement, and we hope that you're all very proud of yourselves. To begin, we're just going to address a couple housekeeping notes. So please note that today's presentations are being videotaped and will be posted on our website so that students who couldn't attend the event today are able to watch the speeches. That doesn't really apply to you since you're sitting over there. It's more me, hi camera. So yeah, the event is being videotaped. Washrooms are located downstairs. So the men's washroom is a left and a left when you get to the bottom of the stairs. And the women's washroom is a right and a right when you get to the bottom of the stairs. That's just out that way over there. Obviously, of course, please feel free to check out all of the information that you received today because it will be a useful refresher once you get home. There's a lot of really helpful information in those welcome packages you've received, so definitely give it a flip through. If you refer to your pamphlet, you'll see a brief roadmap of today's program. So over the next hour, you will hear from various speakers who will share their insights on the various benefits that the University of Alberta has to offer. Then we'll break into smaller groups and head into the Knowledge Cafe portion to tour the building and meet some of the student groups around the university, alumni, and faculty. You'll also be led by student volunteers who are extremely friendly, so feel free to ask any questions that you may have during this time. Lunch is going to be at 12:15 today and will take place just outside these doors over here. You will break from lunch and reconvene with your knowledge group leader around 1 o'clock or so, at which point the Knowledge Cafe will resume. So we'll keep going with the tours that we have scheduled for you. This room is room 237 and is your home base, so feel free to leave any of your bags and jackets behind. But of course, please keep in mind to hang on to all of your valuables. So I'd like to begin today just by telling you a little bit about myself and why I came to the University of Alberta. So I was born and raised in Victoria, BC, and in 2012 I moved to Calgary to complete my Bachelor of Health Sciences in Biomedical Sciences with a minor in music. And you're probably asking yourself, well, Daniel, that has nothing to do with law school. Why are you here? Well, they have nothing to do with law school at all. But I decided to come to law school after realizing that a career in medicine or research wasn't really for me. And somewhat serendipitously at the same time, one of my professors in my undergraduate program happened to be a lawyer who got me thinking about pursuing a career in law. After speaking with her quite a bit and also reaching out to some lawyers around the Calgary community, I decided to write the LSAT and apply to law school. Now, nearing the end of my second year of law school, I could not be happier with the path that I decided to follow. I've had a remarkable experience here at the U of A. I'm passionate about all of the materials that we learn and the opportunities that are available for students to engage. And I get to take all of this in, surrounded by a wonderful group of friends who will soon become my future colleagues. I really couldn't have asked for more. I chose to attend the University of Alberta for a number of reasons. Among them, the faculty's highly respected professors, the diverse course offerings, emphasis on experiential learning, and for someone with a science background, the opportunity to engage with the Health Law Institute here at the University of Alberta. The list goes on, but the most significant factor in my decision was the sense of community that's unique to the U of A. When I came to visit the faculty the week after Dean's Welcome 2 years ago, I felt so welcomed by everybody that I met here, and I knew that the community that was offered at this school was the one that would set me up best for success down the road. A word that you're going to hear a lot today, and I'm sure some of my classmates can attest to this, is the word collegiality. And when I say it, you're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear it from every single student here. When I came to visit the U of A 2 years ago, everyone was like, this community, it's so collegial, everyone's so nice. You're going to hear the word a lot, but it's the perfect fit for how we can describe the community that's here at U of A. It's so rare to wander the halls without running into someone that you know or without saying hi to someone. Every single person at this faculty, including the staff, our professors, and of course your fellow classmates, wants to see you succeed. Something that I really love about the Faculty of Law here are all of the opportunities to get involved. I've been fortunate to participate in a number of activities such as student legal services, where students provide low-income members of Edmonton's community with assistance navigating the legal system. It was through student legal services that I had the chance to speak before a judge after being in law school for only, I think it was 2 months. I've also had the opportunities to serve as the chair of the faculty's Mental Health and Wellness Committee, as well as a student representative working with the faculty on a number of other initiatives and committees. I've also been fortunate to work as a research assistant with the Health Law Institute here, where I'm able to explore the interactions between science, health policy, and the law. One other thing that I've been involved with is as a band director for The Law Show, which is a theatrical production that raises money for charity. This is something that over 1/3 of our student body participates in at some point during their law school, either as a singer, as a dancer, or as someone who is putting all of the behind-the-scenes aspects of the show together. The faculty also places a great emphasis on experiential learning and offers opportunities from poverty law clinics to competitive mooting to internships with organizations such as the Alberta Human Rights Commission. These experiences that are offered by the U of A allow their students to develop the skills that they'll carry forward into their practice. So for you today, this event is really a great opportunity to gain some insight as to what life is like at the University of Alberta. I'll now pass things off to my co-MC, Ali Kim.
You're much taller than me. Welcome, incoming class of 2021. Good morning. I know it's early for all of us, or some of us. As Daniel said, my name is Alyssa Kim, better known as Ali around the faculty. And I would like to start by echoing my co-MC and saying, congratulations. You will hear that very, very often today over the next few hours, but it's well-deserved. Being admitted into law school is a huge accomplishment, and we are very excited that you decided to be here with us today. I will also begin by telling you a little bit about how I found my way to the University of Alberta Faculty of Law. I actually wanted to become a professional ballet dancer, which I know truly seems the opposite direction of lawyer. But when I was 12, I actually went to Toronto and I danced with Canada's National Ballet School for a few years. And then after that, I went to New York City to dance with the School of American Ballet for an additional 2 after that. When I decided to go back into academics, I didn't really know what I was good at, to be quite frank, because I'd been out of school for so long. So I double majored in English and gender studies. And while I absolutely loved my degree and I had the most amazing experience, I didn't really feel like I had found something to be really passionate about that could eventually evolve into a full career. So that's when the idea of law school was presented to me by none other than, of course, my parents. And I was definitely intrigued by the idea, and I had definitely watched a lot of SVU and Law and Order, and of course, Suits. So with my very Hollywood idea of what law would be like, I decided to take the LSAT. I applied to various schools across Canada, and I was definitely ready to become the next Harvey Specter. As I aforementioned, getting into law school is a very big accomplishment, and I know that it comes with a lot of really big decisions that you will all have to be making today. Or not today, rather, but over the next little bit. The biggest being, where should I start my law school career? It was actually this day, 2 years ago, that made that decision so easy for me. It was everything from the impressive faculty to the incredibly generous upper years who I met, but mostly it was just kind of a gut feeling, something intangible that told me that U of A was going to be the place that would lend me limitless opportunities. And honestly, everything that the U of A offers you today and promises to its students, it delivers. Like Daniel, I have been able to get involved in many capacities around the school, such as directing Law Show, helping with the civil project at Student Legal Services, sitting on Law Faculty Council, and serving as a research assistant for Dean Paton. But to delve deeper into a couple of highlights from my 2 years, a few weeks ago, I was able to compete in a national moot competition called the Wilson against law schools across Canada. For those of you that don't know what mooting is, it's kind of like mock trial, where law students get to try out their oral advocacy skills and argue a case. So my team and I advanced to the finals. with the University of Toronto, and I presented my case to the newly appointed Chief Justice Wagner of the Supreme Court of Canada, which was probably the coolest experience I've ever had, which probably also shows you how much of a nerd that I've become, but we ended up winning the whole competition. In the summer, after my first year, I was able to work at a firm in Toronto on Bay Street, which is a testament to how supportive and amazing our career services team is. They met with me countless times before the actual process to review my resume and cover letter. They set up many mock interviews for me in preparation, and picked up a dozen of very needed phone calls throughout the entire week. We are so lucky to have such a supportive team behind every single student, and that extends beyond just career services. And as an aside, I worked at a firm this summer that actually ended up being one of the locations that they used to film Suits. So I guess you can say that all my Harvey Specter dreams came true. So I just want to close by encouraging all of you guys today to ask the questions that you need to see what opportunities the U of A can offer you. This is an incredibly exciting time for all of you here, and we are so happy to be able to show you just a glimpse into what our school is all about. We really hope that you find what you're looking for. So I will now pass the podium back to Daniel to introduce our first speaker. Thank you.
Height differences, hey? Okay, that should be good. Okay, so it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, Dean Paul Paton. Dr. Paton was appointed Dean of Law and Wilbur Fee Bowker Professor of Law at the University of Alberta in 2014. An expert on legal ethics, professional responsibility, the regulation of lawyers, and corporate governance, he has written and spoken extensively on these issues and has been recognized for his work in Canada, the United States, and England. His prior professional academic appointments include inaugural Vice Provost at the University of the Pacific in California, Professor of Law and Director of the Ethics Across the Professions Initiative at the University of the Pacific McGeorge School of Law in Sacramento, and Assistant Professor in the Faculty of Law at Queen's University. Between 2009 and 2011, he was the chair of the Canadian Bar Association's National Ethics Professional Responsibility Committee and was reporter to the American Bar Association's Ethics 2020 Committee between 2010 and 2012. He also chaired the Canadian-US Fulbright Academic Selection Committee in 2016. Dr. Paton holds undergraduate and law degrees from the University of Toronto, a Master of Philosophy in International Relations from Cambridge University, and master's and doctoral degrees in law from Stanford. Prior to entering the academy full-time, he practiced for a decade as a commercial litigation partner, as in-house counsel to PricewaterhouseCoopers, and as justice and social policy advisor to the Premier of Ontario. Dr. Paton is the recipient of a Distinguished Service Award from the Ontario Bar Association in recognition of his contributions to the legal profession. And in 2015, he was a finalist in the Canadian Lawyer Top 25 Most Influential Lawyers in Canada. More recently, he was named a Leader in Diversity by the Federation of Asian Canadian Lawyers Western Canada chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Paton.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. And congratulations to the admitted students of the University of Alberta Faculty of Law Class of 2021. We're excited that you're here. We're really glad that you're here. And for those of you who have decided already to be joining us, terrific. This is an opportunity for you to prepare yourselves for the fall. For those who haven't quite made that decision yet, today's about getting that information that you need, learning more about what matters to you and what we have to offer. And as you've already heard from Daniel and Ali, this is a terrific place to be. As Dan introduced me, I am Paul Paton. Since 2014, it's been my privilege to serve as Dean here at the faculty, and we look forward to welcoming you and your partners, your families, your friends into the UAlberta law community. You're going to be hearing a lot from representatives of that community, and you're going to be hearing that word, community and collegial. I understand there was actually an internet game last year. How many times people could count community and collegial? So those of you watching on the net, start counting. As you visit today, it actually has meaning. A lot of people talk about it, but I've had the great fortune to be at a number of different law schools, and things here are special. People do support each other, and I've got a couple of illustrations of that we'll come back to. But you're going to be hearing and living examples of that today. We've got over 55 student volunteers. We've got tremendous staff here. We have faculty who are renowned for their expertise in research, but also in teaching. One of my commitments coming in as dean was to move things forward. And it's the same now in 2018 as it was in 2014, preserving the best of our past while preparing you and all of our students for a challenging future in a really dynamic and exciting profession. That includes ensuring top quality curriculum, attracting and retaining outstanding faculty. At the end of this year's cycle, I will have hired 10 new faculty members in the last 3 years of a faculty complement of 30. We're really laying the foundation for a very exciting future. And as you see some of their credentials, it's absolutely outstanding. They're going to be outstanding researchers, they are already, and wonderful, wonderful teachers to move things forward. A couple of other priorities for me are investing in frontline student services, fostering student mental health and wellness, and generating greater awareness and support for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I'm glad to speak to any of you today with any questions about any of those initiatives. I want to introduce you to some of the members of our team who have worked really hard to put today's festivities together. Courtney Wagner, who's our student recruiter and financial advisor. Ray Beaumont, who's our student services team lead. Just give a wave as you're there. Gloria Strathern, who's our remarkable prizes and awards coordinator and who was recognized by the university with a university-wide staff award for her service this past year. Carlin Elford, who is our NCA coordinator. Michael Rajan, who's our student services receptionist extraordinaire. Michael's over there. Sarah Foe, who's alumni relations and events. Sarah's probably running around actually coordinating things. And Priscilla Pop, our communications coordinator, as well as Tara Blasco-Rai, who is our director of communications. In your packages today, you will have a copy of the outstanding new edition of OUTLaw Law magazine. It's also available online for those of you on the net. Search to our website. A wonderful profile of Chief Justice McLaughlin, who we hosted as the speaker for the orientation welcome for the class of 2020. We actually had Chief Justice McLaughlin and Chief Justice of Alberta, Catherine Fraser, both graduates of this faculty. I can think of no better way to launch. So we've got the bar set fairly high. If you're here in September, you'll have to see who ends up coming in to be our first day speaker. I also want to thank again the 55 plus student volunteers, the faculty members, the alumni who are contributing to our success today and whom you'll meet along the way. On those tours, you're going to meet faculty, members of career services, students, alumni, and you're going to learn a lot about other activities. And it may feel a little like you're taking a sip of water from a fire hose. That's okay. Gather in as much information as you can and know that at any point you can come back and ask any questions or email or phone or write to people to get the answers that you need. Now you may be sitting here wondering, okay, why am I here and why should I actually get my law degree here at U of A? Let me give you a few reasons. When you're joining the community here at UAlberta Law, you're entering a community more than 100 years in the making. It's a community with a distinguished tradition of learning the law and engaging in service to the community, locally, nationally, and internationally. You're also joining a law school that I'm really proud to say is on the rise. In 2017, the Times Higher Ed Global University Rankings, specialty rankings, put us into the top 100 law schools in the world for the first time at number 83. That's an astounding leap of 54 places in the last 2 years. I don't think any other law school moved in that direction. I'm on the road constantly promoting the excellence of our faculty, the excellence of our students, and we're getting noticed globally for good reason. Because during your time here, you're going to engage with an extraordinary group of people, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, who are eager to support you and are committed to your professional, but also importantly, your personal success. You're going to be supported and sustained by an excellent group of scholars and a commitment to teaching excellence. So they're not just leaders in scholarship. They bring that into the classroom, and that doesn't happen everywhere. It's really important to them that the teaching and learning that goes on in the classroom really contributes to your success moving forward. We're a community with a diverse and multi-talented student population. I'm going to actually go through a bit of a profile of the class, but you've already heard about somebody who's come from the National Ballet School. Every time as a student research assistant, Allie walks into my room, I do try to stand up a little straighter. It doesn't always work. But I mentioned the former Chief Justice of Canada, sorry, the former Chief Justice of Canada, the Right Honourable Beverly McLaughlin, is one of our most distinguished graduates. The newest member of the Supreme Court, the Honourable Madam Justice Sheila Martin, earned her graduate degree here. The Honourable Mr. Justice Russell Brown was a very distinguished member of our faculty until 2013. So at the highest echelons of the judiciary, UAlberta law is represented. In addition, Chief Justice of Alberta, Catherine Fraser, Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada Commissioner Chief Wilton Littlechild, entrepreneur Daryl Cates, Marie Gordon QC, one of 8 Albertans awarded the Alberta Order of Excellence in October 2017, all are UAlberta Law alumni. Our graduates are amongst the most distinguished members of the bar, not only here in Edmonton or in Calgary, but in Vancouver or in Toronto, in smaller centres across Western Canada. They, like you, argue the precedent-setting criminal law cases you'll study, structure and negotiate the deals that drive business in new and exciting directions, write the legislation, provide the policy advice to government leaders locally, provincially, and nationally, serve their clients and the public in all sorts of critically important ways every day. And so they and you will change and shape not only the law, but the lives of the clients you represent and the communities of which you're a part. That's something I hope that each and every student takes away from their time at UAlberta Law, that communities matter, that helping to build healthy ones is an important part of our responsibility to the profession we've chosen and to the public trust that we serve as a result of the privilege that being part of this profession enjoys. As Daniel mentioned, my own work as a scholar and a teacher both in Canada and the US for more than a decade, after more than a decade in practice, focuses on legal ethics, professional responsibility, ethics in corporate contexts, no shortage of material, and the changing legal profession. And I'm proud of the ways in which this faculty and its students, alumni, staff, and others endeavor to live up to the tremendous responsibility that we have as members not only of an academic community, but members of the broader legal community and our country. Our faculty members are at the forefront of innovation and teaching. Peter Sankoff won a national and international award for his innovation in using technology in the classroom. We have a new generation of rising stars doing exciting work, professors like Hadley Friedland, Cam Jeffries, Anna Lund, Malcolm Lavoie. They're doing research in Indigenous law, environmental law. We actually have a specialist here on oceans law, if you can imagine, in the heart of Alberta. He does really quite wonderful things and actually will be launching an experiential learning opportunity on Vancouver Island this summer. So for those of you who are interested in marine and environmental law, this can be a place for you. It may seem a little counterintuitive. Environmental law, bankruptcy and insolvency law, and property law. A couple of the new ones joining us include Jessica Eisen, who's currently completing her SJD at Harvard. She's an internationally renowned animal law scholar with a focus on law and social change in the area of animal agriculture. And our colleagues at the Faculty of AILS, Agriculture and Life Sciences, are really excited to be knowing that we're getting that expertise. Darcy Lindberg is currently a grad student at the University of Victoria, is a Cree whose relations have come from the Samson Cree Nation. We're excited to have Darcy be joining us in January to help us continue to explore ways in which we can further develop our commitment to teaching and research in the areas of Aboriginal law, Indigenous legal theory, and legal traditions. Jennifer Razzo is currently finishing off her SJD at the University of Toronto. She's spending this year as a fellow at both Yale and New South Wales. Her research focuses on regulatory technologies, administrative decision-making, and a focus on discretion in administration of social welfare programs. And Peter Shigetti, described as one of the most brilliant thinkers of the next generation, earned his SJD from Harvard in 2015, spent last year as a Bolton Fellow at McGill, this year at NYU as a Global Hauser Fellow. His research gets creative in spanning geoecological information in property law, environmental law, and international law. These names may mean nothing to you right now, but they're indicative of the kinds of scholars who will be joining us, and should you choose to join us, we'll be at the front of your classroom, we'll be hiring you as research assistants, and you'll be learning along with them as they engage and embark on the next generation of scholarship. Our research environment is further enriched by the presence of several interdisciplinary centers and institutes. And so you'll hear about the Center for Constitutional Studies, the Health Law Institute, and the Alberta Law Reform Institute. Access to experiential learning opportunities has also been a priority of my deanship. And I want to highlight one that we launched last fall, a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Judge Advocate General of Canada. It's first of its kind in Canada. And it formally inaugurates an internship program with the Office of the JAG, making us the first Canadian law school to work with the office that serves the Canadian military in a role somewhat analogous to that of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Canada. The office of the JAG is staffed by legal officers within the ranks of the Canadian Forces who work at military bases across Canada and around the world, wherever Canadian troops are deployed. They're working in military law, military intelligence, international human rights law, weapons reviews, other deployment issues, as well as criminal law and military justice. It's hard to overstate the importance of that work, and our JAG interns are already making valuable contributions to our military justice system while gaining valuable experience available through no other law school in the country. It's deeply heartening to see the growth of experiential learning opportunities, and bridging that gap between the analytical and the practical is something we do a little differently here than elsewhere. But you're going to hear a lot about our competitive moot program, which has just this past month already, and I say already because there are a couple teams competing this weekend, and I'm optimistic, but we've earned 3 national titles in 1 year. That's never happened. We've got clerkship clinics, we've got other internships with the Human Rights Commission, the Alberta Utilities Commission, the energy regulators. You're not only getting hands-on experience in that respect, but you're mentored by some of the most excellent alumni that we have in issues of ethics and professionalism and conduct in the workplace. It's a rare insight that you'll have here into those sorts of opportunities. And if you're like me, you're coming to law school not necessarily knowing what you want to do, television shows notwithstanding, getting a sense of what might appeal, taking on an externship in an area that you never thought you might have been interested remotely in engaging in, can be an insight into a portal into your future. You're going to hear a lot about a vibrant student life, and it really is vibrant here. Our student community is welcoming, diverse, and inclusive. And outside the classroom, there's a range of clubs and activities that can keep you busy more than 24/7. I want to take a moment to actually describe and just briefly outline. You know, those of you who are always sort of sitting here like, okay, who are these other people, right? Taking a look around the room. Who might my classmates be? Well, last fall, we admitted 185 students from 1,060 applications. The ages range from 21 to 43, an average age of 25. 48.6% are female, 51.4% are male, representing or coming from 35 different post-secondary institutions from across Canada, Alberta, Canada, and the United States, as far away as Wales, Lebanon, and India. They came from the University of Alberta, the University of Calgary, MacEwan University, UBC, Simon Fraser, Lethbridge, Mount Royal, University of Western Ontario, Dalhousie, Victoria, Vancouver Island University, University of Saskatchewan, University of Manitoba, York University, and many others. 140 plus came from Alberta, 20 from BC, 8 from Ontario, 2 from Saskatchewan, and 1 each from Manitoba, New Brunswick, Quebec, Northwest Territories, and Yukon. They were joined by incoming exchange students from Australia, Denmark, France, Northern Ireland, and Singapore, as well as transfer students from law schools across Canada. They are accountants and anthropologists, civil and computer engineers, scholars of sociology and psychology, international relations, policy science, religious studies, theater arts. They are parents, children, spouses, partners, and friends. They represent and we celebrate and value a remarkable diversity of race, gender, Aboriginal or Indigenous status, sexual orientation, and place of origin. They support their communities, and they support this one and each other. They're incredibly talented in many, many different ways. 2 came this past year from standout careers in the Canadian Armed Forces. Several were accomplished athletes, including a Boston Marathon competitor, former member of Canada's national karate team. You have to be careful around that one. Another was a Rhodes Scholar, and one stood as a candidate in a federal election. Some were drawn to law school by way of deep involvement in important global causes, including arthritis research, Holocaust awareness, and the ongoing struggle to end human trafficking worldwide. Others had achieved success in political science, history, natural science, and engineering, having published papers and won awards. I encourage them to get to know each other. And the one thing they all have in common when they start the first day of law school is that they're all starting the first day of law school. Nobody has an advantage, and they're there for each other. The multitude of student events, Ali described Law Show, about 300 at any one given time, or at least 150 plus. You know, if you've never had the opportunity to engage in, well, Dean gets this often, but public humiliation is sometimes good for the soul, but they support each other in terms of, I have been on stage, so I can say this, singing, dancing to your peers and friends in support of a charity cause is just a wonderful experience that bonds everybody together. Student Legal Services, you're going to hear more about, provides critical support for those in need. The Alberta Law Review, the Mental Health and Wellness Committee, becoming a student legal services caseworker, engaging in sports teams, the possibilities are endless, and you're going to hear more about them. We've hosted all sorts of events. The National Student Conference of the Christian Legal Fellowship, our Indigenous Law Student Association Aboriginal Law Speakers Series. All sorts of national conferences and national moots have been hosted here over the last couple of years, and so you will find things to connect with in ways that you never necessarily knew that you might be interested in. Competitive mooting, you're going to hear more about. Pride Week is another important March tradition. This is a very, very busy month, and so as you take in the information that will help you make your decision, know that I'm really proud of the work that our students have done to make our faculty and the entire university community one of inclusivity, diversity, and respect. I've gone on too long. I've been known as a dean to do that, but I'm really proud of everything that we're doing here. This is a small sampling of the activities, academic and otherwise, taking place here at the faculty. Our career services team is here to help you, and even in a tough economy last year, over 95% of our students who were wanting jobs got them. That's a real testament, and I know that's really important, which is why we've invested in that area, and I'm talking to firms all the time, telling them how proud I am of our students. One illustration for those of you in Vancouver, and I'll end close to with this. There was a Vancouver firm that was interviewing a couple of UAlberta law students. They had one position available, interviewing a number of different candidates. And the story came back to me later on that they asked each one of those two UAlberta law students kind of about the other one, which I thought, nasty, nasty law firm. But I'm really proud of the responses. Each one of them, I was told later on, said, you know, I really want this job, but if I don't get it, they should. So it's an indicator of how they end up supporting each other and where the reputation goes. One of our national student teams competing 2 years ago, I got a call from Toronto during the weekend saying, I can't tell you about the results, but I can tell you this. These students are tremendous ambassadors for your faculty and for your university. Our students are representing us nationally and internationally in ways in which we're really, really proud. Come prepared to think, to write, to advocate, to be flexible, to be nimble, to be ready to face whatever challenges come. This is an extraordinary opportunity, and it's a really exciting time of transformation for the legal profession and for our faculty. We're delighted you're here today. Welcome to the parents, the family, and the friends. We know that you're part of the decision-making process, and we really appreciate your being here to help out with that. We look forward to welcoming you and your unique experience, skills, and passions in September. Thanks very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Dean Paton. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Brandyn Rodgerson. Brandyn recently graduated from the University of Alberta with his law degree, and he's the recipient of numerous academic awards, including the George Bly O'Connor Silver Medal, and he was the valedictorian for his graduating class. Throughout his 3 years in law school, Brandyn has worked with a number of organizations such as OUTLaw Alberta, Student Legal Services, the Alberta Human Rights Commission. He also choreographed some very awesome dances for the annual law show. Brandyn is currently articling at the Alberta Court of Appeal, after which he will complete his articles at Bennett Jones. Brandyn has recently secured a clerkship at the Supreme Court of Canada beginning in the September of 2019. So if you would join me in welcoming Brandyn.
Thank you, Allie, but she took over dance from me, and it's way better now, from a professional ballerina. So, first of all, let me be the fourth to congratulate you this morning. I know, we all know, how much work you all have poured in to get to this point in your life and career. The time and effort you put into those midterms and finals in that undergrad, the countless, I'm sure, logic games that you poured over to survive that LSAT. I'm sure it was fun. But now, all of that is behind you. Law school is now on the horizon. And with that comes new and exciting opportunities and accompanying challenges. As you heard from Allie, my name is Brandyn Rodgerson, and I graduated from this law school nearly a year ago, the class of 2017. Hearing that it's the class of 2021 sitting in front of me is very exciting for what this school holds into its future. I'm currently articling at the Alberta Court of Appeal here in Edmonton. For those of you who don't know, articling is essentially I'm completing 1 year of practical work that you will also be required to complete following law school before getting called to the bar ultimately. I am here today to speak to you from an alumni perspective. And so, after being out of law school for nearly a year, having time to recover and reflect from that time, I'm here this morning, I think, to debunk some myths about what this experience might be like for you. Myth number 1, you need to spend all summer preparing for law school, getting textbooks, doing readings, researching firms, finding out what you want to do into your future. First of all, like Allie and Daniel, my undergrad was not legally related in any way. I was in physiology and pharmacology at the University of Saskatchewan. I had never taken a law-related course, nor did I know anybody that was a lawyer that I could talk to. But chance may have it, I went to law school, here I am, and what I realized is that on day 1, it didn't matter that I didn't know any of those basic legal concepts, the firm names, the levels of court, you name it. That's because here at the University of Alberta Faculty of Law, you're introduced to law school. All first-year students are introduced to law school through a 2-week introductory course called Foundations. During that course, you will be introduced to basic legal principles and terminology, and it extends beyond those basic legal principles to teach you real-world lessons like ethics and professionalism, Indigenous legal issues, sexual assault awareness, mental health awareness. In this way, that course will introduce you to a new way of thinking about problems and a new lens to view Canadian society through. Throughout that first course, the professors understand, and indeed that entire course is premised on the basis that most, if not all of you, will come in with minimal knowledge of how the law actually works in practice. Myth number 2, that law school is going to be 3 years of stress. Okay, don't get me wrong, it will be busy. In the first year following Foundations, you will do a complete course load. That is 6 classes that extend over the full year. Courses like contracts, criminal law, constitutional law, among others. Following that first year, you will then be required to take 5 courses per semester for your following 2 years. So add them up, that would be 20 upper year courses. If my math is correct. Some of those courses are required, but most of them are electives. So it allows you all to cover topics, some of which you've heard, like animal law, water law, condominium law, entrepreneurial law, a host of topics if you're interested and keen on taking them. Throughout these 3 years, law school will throw many readings, I'll stress that, anywhere you go, assignments, papers, and exams. And I can't lie, there may be times where you experience some low points. And I urge you, whatever school you end up, and I hope it is this one, if you experience those times, please reach out to your friends, your colleagues, the professors who are eager to speak to you. Or if it's the counseling services that are available to you Alberta law students. Reach out and remember to be compassionate, looking for signs that your classmates or friends may also be struggling at some points. But with that said, you will also experience the highest highs that you could imagine. You will find yourself immersed into this new culture and passionate about the things that you're learning. Immersed in a host of interesting topics and experiential learning opportunities, some of which you've heard of. Things like mooting, Aboriginal sentencing externships, or perhaps an internship at the Alberta Human Rights Commission. You will create unforgettable memories with new and lasting friends. You will be engaged in the broader community around you, like you couldn't imagine. And that brings me to my next myth, that during law school, you're gonna have no time for anything else but reading. Yes, your time here will be limited, but remember to make time for the things that you are passionate about. Law school is just as much about learning substantive law as it is about learning how to balance the increasing demands that you will find pulling yourself in different directions. So I urge you during these 3 years to embrace that learning opportunity, learning how truly to find that work-life balance that those millennials are always talking about these days. Finding your passion at UAlberta Law is easy, as there is an abundance of opportunities to have a fulfilling student life experience. Throughout my years at law school, I was fortunate to volunteer with Student Legal Services, which you'll hear a lot about today. I was the dance director in Law Show, as you heard. I also sat as a board member of the Alberta Law Review, a highly respected Canadian legal journal, a student rep on the faculty's Respect and Equality Committee, and I served on the executive of OUTLaw, the only LGBT-oriented law student group in Alberta. Whether these groups interest you or whether it's something else, hockey, rugby, intramural sports, whether it's mooting, Indigenous issues, women's rights issues, environmental issues, whether it's an outside activity, a part-time job, or you're concerned that you won't have time for your family or your children, remember that there are endless opportunities out there and to make time for the things that matter to you. And finally, my last myth, that law school is one big competition. My experience at UAlberta Law was that the typical stereotypes about law student competitiveness or not be able to achieve high academic standing is totally false. Gone are the days where law students would rip out cases from books in the library so that you couldn't read them. The environment here is warm and welcoming. I won't use the C word, collegial, because I know people are counting. I'll just use different words to describe it. People are warm. They want to help you navigate this experience. I've never met so many bright and friendly people to chat with, to study with, to engage with outside of the classroom. By the end of your time here, I promise it will be impossible to walk down the halls of this beautiful building without stopping to talk to somebody that you know or somebody that you can truly call a friend. So don't worry. Work hard, as I know you will. You didn't get here for nothing. Work your very best, do your very best, and remind yourself that if you feel confused or lost at points, you are not the only one, and there are people that are here with you going through the same experience. And most of all, please enjoy your 3 years at this Faculty of Law. I'll be around for the rest of the day. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll now introduce our next guest speaker, Robert Marquette. Rob is a third-year law student at the University of Alberta and holds a Bachelor of Science honors degree from the University of Saskatchewan. He is the current president of the Law Students Association and is one of the executive directors of Law Show 2018, Monsters LLP. He has also taken part in competitive mooting throughout law school with the Jessup International Law Moot. Prior to law school, Rob worked with the Global Institute for Water Security. Rob has also taken part in rugby with the Golden Barristers, as well as volunteering with Student Legal Services. Rob will be commencing his articles with Alberta Justice here in Edmonton starting in July.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. For the 5th time, congratulations. Give yourselves a hand. I mean, we're here for you guys today, not for us. As my wonderful MCs have told you, I'm the president of the Law Students Association, which really doesn't mean much aside from people send me emails when the library's too cold or a light bulb burns out. And it's not really my job, but, I make it work. It seems like just yesterday that I was sitting in the same spot as you guys. 3 years ago, I was way in the back because my taxi couldn't find the address to the place and I was really late. I had driven up the day before from my hometown of Kelvington, Saskatchewan, and my family, my friends, essentially my whole life was between there and Saskatoon. And essentially I was in Edmonton for the 2nd time in my life. The first time I had made a road trip just to go on the roller coaster at West Edmonton Mall. And if you have time, check it out. It's super fun. But I was out of my element, and I was really nervous. And Dean's welcome is what really comforted my fears and made me decide to come to the University of Alberta, and it's the best decision I've ever made. Last week, we celebrated the graduation for the class of 2018, which is a little bit premature because I have a lot of papers and exams left, so fingers crossed. But with 3 years of reflection and being in a nice balance between starting law school and just about to leave law school, I wanted to pass on some of my reflections and thoughts of my time here. And I wanted to break it down to the 3 groups that I feel kind of represent everybody here today. First, why come to law school? Second, why come to law school at the U of A? And 3, for those of you that are the easy sell, you're coming to law school at the U of A, what advice would I pass on before you get started in the fall? So reasons to come to law school. Number 1, I would stress to everyone, everywhere, to come to law school, if I could. And you guys are a lucky group of people that have been admitted. It enhances your life experiences so much. You see things through lenses that you didn't have before. You ask questions you couldn't have even thought of before. It's an absolutely amazing experience. I recently, as Daniel pointed out, I was mooted in the Jessup International Moot in Fredericton. And essentially, my argument was through the lens of, you know what, North Korea can have nuclear weapons, which is a hard argument to make, really hard. So it opens up your lenses beyond what you would imagine. In addition to that, it broadens your horizons as you see from different people both in the school and outside of the school. Andrew Durgo will speak later on student legal services, but student legal services for a lot of you will open up a side of the world that you guys haven't seen before, and it provides you an opportunity to help the community that needs the help the most, for people like yourselves and myself that have had the opportunity to get the tools afforded at law school. Beyond that, it's the student body interactions. The list has gone on. I mean, I am going to continue the list of 4 students now that don't have a legal background. I have a biology degree focused in toxicology. Not really a quick run to law school, but it's interacting with these people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different journeys and experiences. I urge you to speak to the other people in your groups today, your group leaders, the people running the different sections, and you'll be amazed at the variety of journeys that have brought people to law school. And the last point on coming to law school, it's to help your communities. You guys are brilliant, bright minds, and a law degree affords you so many opportunities to help your community in different ways. Whether it means you stay in practice, it means you go into a different route. How many of you have seen the TV show Altered Carbon or Fargo on Netflix? So the executive producer for both of those shows is Stephen Blackman. He graduated from the U of A Law in the mid-90s. He's the founder of Law Show. So it shows you can do just about anything with a law degree. You're not really limited. But it opens so many doors, and I can't stress that enough. So then we step into why come to law school at the U of A? Well, the top one's the beautiful building, right? I mean, who doesn't love good 1970s brutalist architecture? All kidding aside, our faculty has been stressed by Dean Paton and myself. The faculty, you'll hear open door policy everywhere about every university, but the example was I walked the 4th floor with one of you here today, yesterday, and we had a professor with their door open at 5 o'clock on a Friday. We stepped in and visited with him. They're all open door. They are so approachable, and they're brilliant. So don't let, when they go off on a tangent and your eyes glaze over in that first lecture and you're like, oh no. That was my contracts, like most of my contracts. When your eyes glaze over, don't let that intimidate you from going to talk to them, because they're more than happy to sit down and make sure that you're caught up to speed and you understand what's going on. The staff and support, as you've seen, they took a Saturday morning on St. Patrick's Day to come here and set this up for all of you. I think that's a huge indicator that they're here to support you and make sure you guys succeed at every turn. And additionally, the student groups. You heard the amount of student groups listed off that Brandon was involved in and I'm involved in. It connects you with the alumni. There's the amount of times that people have gone into interviews and said, they're like, oh, I see on your CV you've been in law show, or you played rugby, or you played hockey. The interactions between the student groups and this faculty are amazing. Last night, we had the 3rd annual Laws of Drag event, which involves the hockey teams and rugby teams dressing up in drag and raising money for the Edmonton Pride Center. And the interaction between OUTLaw and the hockey and rugby teams, I think, is an indication that there are no barriers between the student groups in the school. There's no cliques, which I think is the best part about it. It's like high school, But everybody's way friendlier and smarter, is what I found. In addition to that, for those of you that have seen The Paper Chase, and I implore you to watch The Paper Chase, it's about a student in first year law in Harvard. Law school's nothing like the movie The Paper Chase, because there's the pressure's on you. You have more support here than anywhere else. When I was at the Jessup in Fredericton, I'm not going to name the law school, but we ran into another team. We talked with them, we spent time with them, we helped them out before we mooted against them, and they said, you guys are the most Canadian team that we've met at this competition, which I think is a huge indication that it doesn't just stay within the walls of this building, it's support here and beyond. It's the student body, I'm going to use a collegiality word, the sharing of notes, assignments, CANs, which are condensed annotated notes, you guys will hear more about that later, and just the timing that they put in. If you were here at the start of this week, there are upper years sitting watching first years go over their moot problem for nothing. They don't get credit for it, there's nothing getting checked off on it, they're just helping them get ready for an assignment. Now, I know they're probably doing it because they're procrastinating, because they have a lot of papers and exams to prep for, but the point is they're out and doing something to help students, which doesn't benefit them anyway, and I think that's the clearest indicator here, that you have the support through all 3 years. We've hit the student groups. I will be down talking about Law Show downstairs when you guys do the tours. I can't stress Law Show enough. It's been the best event of my entire time here. I got to play a spider this year. I got to be a detective the year before. It was a blast. Student Legal Services, the competitive mooting program, we have that well represented here. And a quick stop you'll make is at Hello My Friend Cafe down in the Gavel. You'll meet Steve. Now, our valedictorian spoke at our graduation that Steve, he was sure at orientation and at Dean's Welcome that Steve's importance to the faculty was overstated. And I would not agree with him more, that he could not have been more wrong. Steve is essentially the heart and the soul of this school, and that would be my first piece of advice if you're coming to the U of A, get to know him immediately. He is the friendliest, kindest man, and he will support you, and I think he is part of the reason that we have the faculty atmosphere that we do. So say hi to Steve, enjoy, the coffee's provided by him today. He truly makes the school what it is. So that's my first thing of advice for those of you that are the easy sell that are coming to U of A. Get to know Steve well, because if you don't drink coffee now, I guarantee you will, because federalism, it's long and boring. So my quick advice, sign up for everything. The thing I told the first years when we were signing up at club fairs yesterday was, nothing's going to fall apart if a first year student feels that they're overburdened and they have to back out. That's why the upper years are coordinating it. But it's way easier to get involved off the get-go and work yourself back. Because everybody understands, we're all in law school here. We all understand you're busy and you have a lot to do. But it gives you an opportunity to meet a lot of people in a relaxed setting. The next advice is talk to people before your class starts on the first day. And talk to people here, but especially in class, because your cohort in school will be your first and closest friends throughout law school. So get to know them early. There's nothing more relieving than finding out that 96% of the class doesn't know what's going on along with you. And there's 4% that know what's going on, but they'll help the other 96% along with your professors, and you'll all get up to speed and you'll all be fine. And lastly, talk to your upper year students, the second years and third years that'll be here when you guys start. They've been through it, they've done it, they're at the third year they're about to end, and they're more than happy to give you advice. In fact, they'll give you too much advice. So my advice on that is only take the advice that you think works for you, because they're going to give you too much, and a lot of it's going to be suspect. In closing, although I won't be here next year, when you all have the opportunity to start your journey at the U of A, I can assure you that this place is in great hands going forward with the second years and first years this year. Over the course of my 3 years, I have seen the faculty increase in academic prowess and general standing without losing that community base that makes this school so special. And I envy the chance that you all have to start law school anew. And truly, if that isn't the clearest endorsement that I'd put myself through another 3 years, that this is a place to be, then I really don't know what else to tell you. But once again, congratulations and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Rob. I can definitely agree with that point about Steve. I wasn't a big coffee drinker before law school, and now Steve's my best friend. So next we have Heather Cave. Heather is a third-year student here at the faculty. She came to U of A after completing a Bachelor of Arts degree in dance education at Royal Academy of Dance in London, England, and a Master of Arts degree in dance at New York University. Heather has been active in the competitive moot program at the U of A for the past 3 years. She was the winner of the 2016 Brimacombe Moot. She competed at the Wilson Moot in Toronto in 2017. And the most recently, she finished first place at the 2018 Gale Cup, a national moot competition, where she also was awarded the Dixon Medal for Best Individual Oralist at the finals. During her time at law school, Heather has been fortunate to have completed an internship at the Alberta Utilities Commission and a clerkship with the Alberta Court of Appeal, and is presently serving as a teaching assistant in the first-year legal research and writing. Heather summered at Brownlee LLP here in Edmonton after her first year and will be returning to the firm to article upon graduation this spring. So if you could join me in welcoming Heather.
Hey guys, so I'm here to talk to you about mooting, but just before I do, if you're wondering if having a ballet background is a prerequisite to law school, I promise it's not. It's just a very weird coincidence. Let me also echo my colleagues in congratulating you for getting this far. I hope you're feeling very proud and also very relieved that you never have to look at an LSAT logic game ever again. I know I was when I was in your position, so congratulations. So that said, mooting has been a huge part of my experience here in law school. And as Ali mentioned, we recently won the Gale Cup in Toronto, which is a national criminal law mooting competition that attracts teams from pretty much every law school in the country. So getting to do the Gale was an absolutely incredible experience for me. And I'm definitely not lying when I say winning the Gale was probably the best day of my life, which also probably tells you how nerdy I am now as well. So what I'd like to talk to you today about are three things. First, what is mooting? Secondly, why do I think mooting is the best thing that you can do in law school? And finally, what is it about U of A's mooting program that makes it especially good? So basically, a moot is arguing a mock case, and usually it's an appeal case. So as part of the mooting process, you first start out by researching the area of law that the moot problem addresses. Then you'll write a factum, which is a written argument. And finally, you get to present your case orally in court in front of a panel of judges who will interrupt you periodically and ask you questions to try to test the strength of your argument. Moots can cover any topic or any area of law, but what they usually have in common is that they're seldom about a question of law that's black and white. Often they address areas of the law that are unsettled or perhaps a little bit unclear. So there's often a lot of room to argue the law on both sides of the issue, which is what makes it a really fascinating process. So if you come to the U of A, you'll all have the opportunity to take part in a moot as part of the first-year legal research and writing program. And then if you're like me and you do your moot in March of 1L and you immediately just want to do it again, you have the opportunity in second and third year to try out to be placed on a competitive moot team. So the U of A sends teams to pretty much every major moot competition there is. There are teams covering areas like criminal law, constitutional law, Aboriginal law, labor arbitration, tax, the list goes on really. So why do I think mooting is the best thing that you can do in law school? Well, for me, the biggest reason is that it gives you the opportunity to step into the shoes of a lawyer and to actually do what a real lawyer does instead of just passively reading a bunch of cases. Guys, you are gonna read a lot of cases in law school. There's really no way to avoid it. That's how you learn the law, and that's how you learn to think like a lawyer. But after a year of reading endless cases, it's so exciting to just be able to craft your own argument and to argue it instead of just reading about what other people have argued. Mooting also allows you to develop and refine your skills as an advocate at probably a deeper level than you might otherwise be able to get from a regular class. I know from my experience that we were always being pushed by our moot coaches to probe a particular line of argument a little bit deeper, to go back and research something again, to finesse the argument a little bit more. And while that process can be very challenging and possibly even frustrating at times, what it does is it really teaches you not to just scratch the surface of an argument, but to actually go deep and to really dive in and engage with the law. And it's an incredible experience for that reason. Mooting also gives you amazing mentorship from professors, from lawyers, and even from real judges. During my time as a competitive mooter, I think I've presented my arguments to probably close to 50 lawyers and judges, and I've received feedback from all of them that's all designed to make me better. And I think it does show when I look back at the work that I did in 1L on my moot and I compare it to my most recent work this year. To be honest, it's hard to recognize that it even comes from the same person. That's how much I think that I've improved in the last 3 years. And so much of that is down to the mentorship that I've received through the mooting program here. Mooting also just opens doors for you that you could never imagine. I came to law school, as you can imagine, with a dance background, not really knowing any lawyers or really having any connections to the legal community. And now at the end of my time here, I'm leaving with this amazing network of contacts that I've made through mooting. And I'm hopeful that that's going to continue to open doors for me in the future. Recently, I got to present my oral argument in front of Justice Cote of the Supreme Court of Canada. How many third-year law students can say that they've done that? In fact, how many lawyers can say that they've done that? That was an incredible experience for me, and it's something that I got here through our moot program. So finally, why do I think the U of A's mooting program is particularly good? Well, to be honest, I'm pretty biased, but also I think that our track record speaks for itself. This year in particular has been an incredible year for our mooting program. You've already heard that we won the Gale Cup and the Wilson Moot this year. We also won the Bowman National Tax Moot, and recently we won the Alberta Court of Appeal Moot as well. So we have an outstanding program here. We have a community that supports our mooters, both in terms of our law school community and the legal community as a whole. And it really does show in the success of our students in our mooting program. So to close, mooting is definitely one of the most challenging things I've done in law school, but it's also by far the most rewarding. And for me, it really has been a transformative experience. And I hope that for at least some of you, something I've said today has gotten you excited and potentially interested in taking on a competitive moot when you get to law school. Thanks, guys, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Heather. Our next speaker is Emma Banfield. Emma is in her third year of law school at the University of Alberta. She previously completed a bachelor's degree in music at Wilfrid Laurier University and also holds 2 master's degrees in music from the University of Michigan, as well as a doctorate of music from Northwestern University. During law school, she has received a number of awards during her time here, including a Rocky Mountain Mineral Law Foundation grant, the Catherine Miller Community Service Award, the Honorable Lucienne Dubuc Memorial Scholarship, and the Ogilvy LLP Scholarship in Law. Prior to law school, Emma taught and performed throughout Canada and the United States. During law school, she has served as a member of the editorial review board of the Alberta Law Review, as a member of the Indigenous Law Students Association, a member of OUTLaw, Law and Older, and has volunteered with Student Legal Services. This year, she is also the co-chair of the Women's Law Forum. After completing her degree, Emma will article with the Court of Appeal in Edmonton, and then will complete her articles with Reynolds, Mirth, Richards, and Farmer here in Edmonton. Please join me in welcoming Emma.
So good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we stand on Treaty 6 territory here. And actually, the University of Alberta is located in a traditional meeting place for a number of Indigenous groups in this area. And so we owe a debt, and we continue to owe a debt to those people. I will echo the sentiments of my colleagues here by congratulating you all on getting into law school. You've already put in hours of work, and it's paid off. You won't believe it now, but getting into law school was the hard part. Law school is going to be hard work, but having made it into this room right now means that you have everything you need to get through law school. At some point in your first year of law school, you're going to remember me saying this and you're going to think I'm crazy. And then at some point in your third year of law school, you'll remember me saying this and you'll think maybe I wasn't so crazy. So trust me, from here on in, you've got it. So then the question is, where do you want to be? Some of you will be like I was. The University of Alberta was the only place I was ever going to go to law school. Some of you will have a choice. Regardless, you're probably going to have questions about the school, about whether you'll be happy here, about whether you can find a community. These are fears that you share with all of your colleagues. A large part of why we're here today is to reassure you. We come, as you've heard, from a variety of backgrounds, from a whole bunch of different places, and I think that what we'd agree on is that what we share is an interest in making the world a better place. We might not agree about what that place looks like, but we're united in our willingness to contribute to the effort. What I've found at the University of Alberta is a community. Colleagues who are interested in ideas, who are generous in their willingness to share those ideas, and who are happy to listen to the ideas of others. That generosity is rooted more deeply within the community at the law school. We have faculty and staff who care deeply about the students. That's really obvious. We have professors who encourage respect, the exchange of ideas, and as you've heard, we have enduring camaraderie amongst the students. I'm not saying we're perfect. We're not. There's still lots of work to be done. Part of what I'm doing here today is inviting you to come and join us. You guys will all come from a variety of backgrounds too, and as you've heard, those can contribute to the community here. Bring your experience, your ideas, your energy, and your commitment to help us. Part of what I'm doing here today is speaking to you in my role as one of the co-chairs of the Women's Law Forum. Lots of people here today have and will continue to talk to you about all the amazing things that go on in the law school. For me, finding a group of people who were willing to talk about and work for goals associated with feminism was deeply rewarding and a very enriching experience. The Women's Law Forum is one of the oldest groups on campus, and we maintain an active presence in the law school and the broader campus more generally. We work with the administration to create support for the students within the law school. We do fundraising for local charities. We host a variety of social events, book clubs, skating parties, coffee meetups, and we look for ways to challenge students to think more deeply about really important issues. We also work closely with other groups within the law faculty, the Indigenous Law Students Association, OUTLaw, the LSA Law Students Association, and we do that so that we can create a space for women to question the status quo and to look for ways to improve the lives of marginalized people. In the interest of time, I'll leave it there, but members of the Women's Law Firm will be available later in the day to tell you a little bit more, to answer any questions that you might have. In the meantime, congratulations again on getting into law school, and we wish you all the best in your future careers.
Thank you so much, Emma. Our next speaker will have a lot of information to give you guys about student legal services, as we've all talked about how great it is. Andrew Durgo is a current second-year student at the Faculty of Law and obtained his undergraduate degree in philosophy and political theory from a college of Worcester in Ohio, where he mooted extensively in national championships and competed in the American Moot Courts Association. He has been heavily involved in student legal services in Edmonton since entering law school, and Andrew has served as a criminal law project caseworker over the summer and is currently the executive coordinator of SLS. So if you could welcome Andrew with me.
Good morning, everybody. Let me be the first person to thank you and to say congratulations on never having to take the LSAT again. Believe me when I say that that's almost more important than getting into law school. I'm actually from Chicago originally, and before I moved to Canada, I had, we'll go ahead and call it a quarter-life crisis. I wanted to go to law school, but I decided not to for a variety of reasons, cost being a very large one, but also the ethical situation in the States, and there aren't a lot of jobs there for lawyers. I decided not to. Several years later, I realized that what was wrong for me wasn't law school, it was law school in the American context. And so here I am at the University of Alberta, and I could not possibly be happier because this is absolutely the right place for me to be. It's a phenomenal institution, and I am very, very lucky to be here. That being said, one of the reasons that I feel like I'm so lucky to be here are because of the opportunities that going to the University of Alberta provides you. You've heard a lot about experiential learning opportunities, and student legal services is one of the ones that I've, of course, been the most involved with. Quick summary of SLS, and you're going to have to trust me on this. I don't actually have the stats for it, but I believe that we are the largest student-run, non-for-profit organization in Canada. I say that because my predecessor said it last year, and I watched the video, so you'll have to trust them for that. We have several different projects, and we do things as various as helping people with landlord-tenant disputes. We do a do-your-own divorce clinic and help people with that kind of stuff. We also deal with summary convictions in terms of criminal files. So that would be things as wide-ranging as being convicted or being accused of shoplifting or of a driving while intoxicated or assault or fraud or really a lot of other stuff. And I'd just like to put the disclaimer that I'm from the criminal side of things, so most of my stuff is going to be from that particular angle. Student legal services is something that you get out of what you put into it. It does not have to run your entire law school career, and as a lot of other people have mentioned today, you can be involved in it in a fairly minimal capacity and still get wonderful experiences. You don't have to, I suppose, sell your soul to the organization, kind of like I have, because it's been a very large part of my law school career. The good news is that as a 1L, you have people to help you. If you get overwhelmed, there are people who have signed up to spend an enormous amount of time supervising you and volunteering and all that good stuff. So it's not the kind of thing that should be stressful. It's a phenomenal experience, but hopefully it stays that way. Speaking of an experience, SLS is hands-on learning. There is not another opportunity that you're going to get to actually sit in a room with a real person who needs legal help and has nowhere else to go. Because we are a low-income clinic, we focus a lot on access to justice, and really what that means is helping people who require legal problems and can't pay for a lawyer. They can't get it any other way. So they come to us, and it's phenomenally gratifying work. You get to open files and talk to these people. You get to build a relationship with somebody who has ongoing legal needs and then help them solve those needs. That can be as wide-ranging as simply helping them plead guilty in an ethical way. It can be running trials for people. It can be helping them finish their divorce. It can be trying to get the Crown to withdraw charges against them. It's a lot of different stuff. And I was sitting way back there a couple of years ago when the exec told me that I could be speaking in front of a judge in provincial court in 6 months, and I didn't believe them, but I stand in front of you having run 5 trials, cross-examined police officers, I've led direct testimony, and I've gotten evidence thrown out because of charter violations. It is an unbelievably cool experience. But moving on from that experience, Robert mentioned earlier, I think he used the word lens, but SLS, I think, has given me a perspective that I would not have had otherwise. It puts you into contact with a demographic of the real population that I certainly never would have been in contact with beforehand. And I know that I'm generalizing a little bit, but law students do tend to come from a little bit more of a privileged background. You guys are going into a very prestigious career, a very privileged profession, and you don't really have a lot of contact with people with mental illnesses, people with addiction issues, low-income people who are in a very, very, very difficult situation. I think it's very important to have a conversation with somebody like that and realize that people live differently than anything that you've ever experienced. And it has absolutely opened my eyes that, that I was a spoiled upper-middle-class kid who didn't really have to work as hard as he should have in undergrad. And so here I am today. SLS has made me a better person for that. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was duty. I was one of those naive kids who came to law school to try to make the world a better place, and that sounds ridiculous, but I feel like I've actually made a difference in the lives of real people. I've helped people get support for their mental health and addiction issues. I've helped a vulnerable segment of the population that literally has nowhere left to turn. I'm a sucker for access to justice, and I legitimately believe that this is the most important thing that I have ever done in my entire life. So I hope to see you all here at the University of Alberta next year. I'll be around at the Knowledge Cafe if you have any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. Our next speaker is Zubair Hussain, who is from the Law Students Association. Zubair will be entering his final year of the combined JD MBA program at the University of Alberta this fall. He has a degree in criminal justice and honors from Mount Royal University, and here at the law school is actively involved in Law Show, and for the past 3 years has also served as the VP Social of the Law Students Association, the marketing chair for Law Show, and has volunteered with Student Legal Services. In these roles, Zubair has made it his mission to make students feel included, has displayed an outstanding level of enthusiasm, and has really acted as an exceptional ambassador for this law school. So please join me in welcoming Zubair.
Thank you, Daniel. It's going to sound like I stole a bunch of my speech from everyone else. I can't confirm or deny that. But I also was going to congratulate all of you, but you've been congratulated a few times, and I don't really want it to go to your head. So I'm just going to dive into this speech, letting you guys know that I'm assuming that you're going to come to the University of Alberta Faculty of Law. The University of Alberta Faculty of Law is a fantastic place to start your career. I'll begin by saying that you have made a fantastic choice by choosing to come to law school, and an even better choice by choosing to come to the University of Alberta Faculty of Law. At this faculty, we have some of the most distinguished and influential legal academics and legal scholars that this country has to offer. Some of the professors that are going to be teaching you all in the fall here have written textbooks that are being utilized by law schools all across the country and have even been cited by the Supreme Court of Canada. Utilize them when you have comments, questions, or concerns. Participate in their classes and bump into them in the halls and say hi to them, because not only are these individuals brilliant, but they're also committed to ensuring that you succeed at your law school experience. My second piece of advice is going to be get involved. One of the most common things that you've already heard and you will continue to hear is that the U of A is renowned for its friendly, collegial, open, and approachable alumni and student body. I encourage you to get involved in extracurriculars like Law Show, Student Legal Services, or one of the other 70 billion clubs available at this faculty. It's at these extracurriculars that you will really have the opportunity to make meaningful connections that will last not only through your time at the U of A, but also through the entirety of your career. On top of that, you will also be exposed to meeting alumni and practitioners who are passionate about these clubs, and that will prove to be undoubtedly useful and probably very helpful in your search for an article or even a student summer position. Lastly, be brave and be bold at your time in this faculty. Law school is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to learn, grow, and develop not only on a professional scale, but also on a personal one. Try new things that challenge you and that scare you so bad that all you want to do is throw up. I mean, I only threw up twice before this speech, so that's okay. Also, remember to be kind to everybody around you and share your passions, your beliefs, your values with one another. Embrace each and every moment and each and every interaction with a zealous confidence that you will walk away from it a little bit richer and a little bit happier. As I stand before you today, I am filled with enthusiasm that the class of 2021 will further U of A's exceptional reputation of strong academics, even stronger collegiality, and a commitment to making Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and yes, even the world, a more loving and just place for people to live. Now that I have bored you all to death a little bit, I'll leave you with one last statement. I know that I can come across as big and scary, but if you have any questions, you can find my information on the Law Students Association's website. Send me an email or cyberstalk me on Facebook. That's really cool. And once again, congratulations, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you in the fall.
Thank you so much, Zubair. Our final speaker today will be Kimberly Gosell. She's a second-year student here in the faculty and graduated from Simon Fraser University, majoring in sociology and minoring in criminology. Since starting in the faculty in the fall of 2016, Kim has made various contributions, such as acting as the internal chair of the Articling Committee, the 2L representative of the Equality and Respect Committee, a member of the Recruitment Committee, helping Courtney plan events like this, acting as a student representative on the Advisory Selection Committee, and is also acting as a member of the Indigenous Law Students Association and the Women's Law Forum. In the past, Kim has worked in non-for-profits, the federal government, and is currently a lifeguard with the city of Richmond in BC. She loves the water as a former competitive swimmer. That was a very unfortunate slip. And in her downtime, she loves to spend quality time with her golden retriever, Nala. This summer, she'll be working at BLG Vancouver and will also be completing her article there after graduating next year. Please welcome Kim.
Hello, everyone. I'm not going to shy away from congratulating you one more time. It's not going to be the last time today. I can promise you that. As Ali was saying, my name is Kim Gosal, and I'm happy to be in front of you today to speak on behalf of the Recruitment Committee. Although if you have any questions about those other teams and other committees that I'm a part of, I'm happy to answer those questions as well. I want to thank the faculty for asking me to speak today. I love having these conversations with students about why you should be at this faculty. It's one of my favorite topics to discuss. And as a member of the Recruitment Committee, I do have the honor of having these individual conversations with students who have questions about why you want to be at the faculty here at the University of Alberta, and just to have that opportunity to answer those questions for you. You've already heard from a lot of speakers today about their perspectives and experiences here in the faculty. And for those of you that have accepted your offers, I want to say you have not made a decision that you're going to regret. You're really going to be happy here. And for those of you that haven't accepted yet, make sure you go home today after this event, taking a couple seconds to really consider it, and hit accept. The Recruitment Committee gets a lot of questions about law school, the experience, and what it's like to attend the faculty. So in the duration of my speech, I'm going to go ahead and answer 3 questions for you that I get often. The first of those questions is, how did you choose to come to the University of Alberta Faculty of Law? And the answer to that question is, I came to this event today, and I hit accept. The best part of this event is going to be after this portion of the presentation, when you get to go and engage with students and faculty during the Knowledge Cafe. There you're going to see the passions that students have here at the Faculty of Alberta, or Faculty of Law here at the University of Alberta. And also all the knowledge, the collegiality that you've heard a lot about, and the community. You really see that shine through. The second question that we get here is, what is it like to attend the University of Alberta? And I have 2 responses to that question. First, you're going to get really supportive faculty, and you're going to get really collegial classmates. When I say supportive faculty, what I mean is that door that's open is seriously always open. Ali and I had the pleasure of participating on the Wilson Moot team this year, and during that experience, we had so many conversations with one of our professors, Professor Adams, who teaches constitutional law here. And we had the pleasure of having him in first year. He became one of our mentors here. Anytime we had a question, anytime we had a moment of self-doubt about whether or not we were approaching an issue appropriately, or whether our advocacy skills were up to par for this competition where we're going to be facing students from so many other law schools, he was that person in the room that would just assure us, what you're doing is great, you're ready to go, and just change your argument a little bit, because I just feel like it'd be more persuasive if you said this and not that. And then you'll have the classmates that some of them may be here in the room today, and others you'll see out in the hallways today. When you walk around this faculty, it's truly amazing that you can only go a few steps before you see someone that you know, engage in conversations, and when you're having a moment where you just really want to procrastinate, it's super easy to go down to Steve's and get a coffee. The last question, something that many students are concerned about, is articles. Am I going to get to go where I want to go if I come here to Alberta? Whether that means working in Alberta, working in British Columbia, or somewhere else in the country? And the answer is, we have the resources here for you. As the internal chair of the Articling Committee, I know that students are very worried about where they're going to get their jobs, where they're going to be starting their careers. But we have fantastic resources here as part of Career Services. The Articling Committee is a group of students who also work with you to learn your concerns and make sure that you have the resources and the information that you need to really find that job in a big law firm, a big national law firm, whether it's a nonprofit or whether it's with the government. Pat Neal and John McDonald do incredible work to network so that you guys have contacts in various cities with various firms and with a variety of different types of work, which is truly encouraging and just so exciting going forward. I've had the greatest experiences here at the University of Alberta Faculty of Law, and I hope many of you will be joining me here next year. Thank you so much.
Great, so that brings us to the end of our speeches. We just have a couple little housekeeping items to go through. So campus tours will start at 2 p.m. for those of you that would like to familiarize yourself with outside of this beautiful building. So we'll meet at the Pedway to Fab, which is just outside of these doors over here. You guys will be going to the Knowledge Cafes now, and we have a lot of really great people in green t-shirts that are going to be waiting for you right outside of those doors. So we're going to group you into smaller groups. If everyone could exit those doors, that one and that one, Courtney's giving me the okay, so that's right, then you'll be divided into groups and you'll meet your tour guides. But if you could just join me in thanking all of our speakers today, and I hope you have a good day.